Governor Ron DeSantis was in Apopka earlier today, and one of the first questions he was asked was about the future of the Tampa Bay Rays. He said he's gotten assurances from Major League Baseball that that team will not be leaving Florida, but he is not taking sides where they wind up, whether it's Tampa, St. Pete, or here in Orlando. We know the Orlando Dreamers have been pushing to bring Major League Baseball here to the City Beautiful, whether it is through relocation of an existing team like the Rays or whether it's through expansion. But we also know there are still several roadblocks that face that team. Some of them are infrastructure. For example, moving a water treatment plant and an electric substation that are on the site where the stadium would be down near SeaWorld. Some of the other difficulties are support. The Dreamers are still trying to get some buy-in from local officials. Not everyone is quite on board quite yet. And associate producer Johnny Jackson spoke with Ryan Lynch, a reporter with the Orlando Business Journal, to break down some of these roadblocks and obstacles that the Dreamers will have to overcome.
A lot of progress. Don't get me wrong. They've raised a lot of money in terms of commitments. They have a couple of major investors that have been revealed, but there's still a lot of questions to be answered. Everything from how they might secure their preferred site, which is about 35 acres near SeaWorld, to what type of public money they might need to complete it. I mean, they have, more than $1 billion for the stadium, but the price of it could reach more than $2 billion by the time we build this. So, are they going to ask the county for money? Might they get more private investors involved? So, still a long way to go, but obviously there's still a lot of excitement around it, which is why we've kind of gotten to this point.
Yeah, when we talk about that process, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings has said that he is not in favor of, at least right now, just straight up donating the land to the Dreamers. They would have to buy it. Another wrinkle, utility companies, potentially a power station, potentially a water treatment facility, would have to be moved. So someone's got to foot the bill. I mean, how how many hurdles are we seeing, and how big are these hurdles when we look at the realistic chance of Orlando really trying to steal the Tampa Bay Rays?
I think they are pretty big, and just talking about that site alone, when you have that many stakeholders involved in a single property, that's where there could be even more challenges than, oh, if it was just the county's property, there might be less hurdles there. Like, oh, we have to get this use approved and figure out where we park cars. But when you're talking about utility infrastructure and having to move that around, that becomes a challenge in of itself. So it remains a question of, do they continue on with this site? Do they look at potentially other sites? They have mentioned in the past they've been offered other properties before. So is it a question of, do they look there? Do they find a way to maybe shrink the footprint of the ballpark? There's been some situations, I think, where ballparks have been built on a smaller footprint, and obviously this one includes a lot of mixed use development. So do they look at maybe a smaller footprint for the project? And those are the type of things that become hurdles, and at some points opportunities as well. Whether that's for somebody who might have a site that fits better, or for the county, what they're asking for. It's like, is it money alone? Is it money and the potential for any mixed use development to have X amount of affordable apartments? Those are going to be things we find out over the coming weeks and months as they continue to kind of negotiate this, and we see how far along this moves.
And the Dreamers so far have kind of pledged to build baseball and softball complexes here in Orange County. They also have Orange County Commissioner Michael Scott publicly endorsing the project. How much does that potentially sway Orange County and kind of moving towards a deal?
I think, that's start, but obviously you have a couple other members of the county board that you have to impress, including the member of the county commission whose district the ballpark property actually lies in. So that's going to be a hurdle. Being able to get some of that community support is a good start, but a lot of times it's like, oh, ice cream sounds good right now, but if I tell you that ice cream costs, $200 million, you might feel differently about that as a member of the public. So I think a lot of it is going to depend on, what type of money that the team brings to the table. Do they bring more? How do they get the community involved in this? Because, for a lot of folks, pro sports team sounds great, but right now the county has a lot of competing interests for funding when it comes, whether it's sports itself or some of the other needs that the county has for transportation, for other infrastructure. So, a lot of it is this is a good foundation for them, but they're going to have to do the work over the coming weeks to sway other folks to be like, hey, this is a good use of county money. This feels like a real investment. And I think Demings as well, to allude to him before, has mentioned in the past he wants to see that return on investment when considering anything like this. He's not just going to give away the property. They want to see the number of jobs that it would create, the potential for some of those higher paying jobs that might be created in a project like this, the potential for affordable housing that might be created out of this. So that those are just some of the hurdles that come from a process like this. But when you have already one commissioner who's pretty supportive of this, that's a positive step.
And then when we talk about county funding, the Dreamers have said, in total with everything put together, about $2 to $2.5 billion. When we talk about the county side of it, the TDT, tourism development tax, as far as I understand, and this may be wrong, it really for these purposes can only really be used for the stadium, not necessarily the parking infrastructure or the road infrastructure. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, there's kind of and a lot of this has been talked about in the state legislature about expanding the use of TDT, but mainly a lot of it goes into the venue itself. You look at Camping World as an example. Most of the $400 million is going into the actual stadium. You have the UCF Roth Tower expansion there. All the money is going into the construction of that tower. So I imagine much of the money they might request would probably go directly into stadium construction, and that would still be a substantial piece of the pie, but that might limit what they ask for in terms of A, how much, and B, what they can use that for. Like, it's not necessarily, oh yeah, I can request this and then build a office tower alone using all this. A lot of times it's just tied to the actual stadium itself. So, and we'll have to see how much they asked for. The last time it was almost $1 billion. We'll see if they end up asking again, if they ask for that much, if they end up raising enough money where they might not have to ask for as much county participation. But that remains to be seen until we get closer to a point where they're in the position to make the ask.
And then from the county perspective, there's obviously the push to the Roth Tower expansion at UCF, Camping World renovations, because Orlando is trying to draw the Jaguars here. What is, at least in your reporting experience, what has been the priority for the county commissioners? What seems more realistic, the football, the bringing NFL here, or making sure that potentially if the Rays do get sold, bringing Major League Baseball to Orlando?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think both are kind of on the same level in different ways, where it's a longer shot than one might expect. The baseball one presents a challenge because you're trying to draw a existing team, and there's obviously competition there. Reporting that's been out there has said multiple groups are vying for the Rays, and that could include groups that want to keep the team in Tampa, and that would be a challenge, obviously, for Orlando, because a lot of the experts that I've spoken with have said they're not going to put two MLB teams in such close proximity to each other in markets like Tampa and Orlando. So if it stays in Tampa, that's that. And then on the football side, it remains to be seen how they might expand and what they might prioritize to that end. Obviously, Orlando in the past has really tried to draw some of these neutral site NFL events, like the Pro Bowl is an example. And the Jags can almost be seen, if they are chosen to host in Orlando, that can almost be seen as sort of a dress rehearsal for what an NFL season might look like in Orlando. So I think both of them face equal, long shot odds in terms of happening, but that does not mean that either of those won't happen. It's just that each of them faces their own individual challenges that should a group, whether it's the Dreamers or somebody on the NFL side, they would have to overcome.
There's still a long road ahead with that. One thing to circle on your calendar is the date of June 16th. That is when a group from the Orlando Dreamers is going to be speaking at the iDrive Chamber of Commerce. So we'll hear from some of the big investors, including Rick Workman and John Morgan, also MLB ambassador Barry Larkin, a Baseball Hall of Famer, and Jim Schnorf, one of the co-founders of the Orlando Dreamers organization. Again, that's June 16th when they will present at the iDrive Chamber of Commerce.